parasites are merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
The Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live. It threatens the gods.
Invitation came, hip deep in Lemur's slime, swarmed by hell wasps, and about to drive the killing blow on a magma claw. Cutting through the dreadful buzz of the wasps and the screams of the damned, a familiar, comforting voice echoed in your mind. With us, he requested your attendance in Faerun, to gather with your friends and allies, those who stood against the Absolute at your side.
Une petite fête, génial. Avec tout... Ah, merci, Astarion est en vie. Il m'a fait peur. Oh, Lightzel.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. Though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute, tonight fate renews thy bond once more. Thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
Ah, c'est trop cool. Ah, il y a mon chien. J'ai mes sous-vêtements. Attendez. Ah merde, non. Attends, dis-moi que j'ai accès au... Ah non, je peux pas parler à mon chien. Gale, il est là. Bon, allez.
Starting to wonder if you'd show up.
Honnêtement, j'ai hésité jusqu'au dernier moment, j'avais peur que cette réunion soit un peu douce amère. Shadowar, c'est bien ça? Mon dieu, la sale gosse. Alors, vous pensez que c'était un retard, un aller-retour express depuis l'Avernus, c'était pas une masse à faire. Je me demande comment Flétris s'est débrouillé pour nous amener ici.
He's quite powerful for a fellow content to loiter in our camp the whole time, isn't he? I wonder if he'll ever reveal what he's been up to exactly. But no matter. If Wither's wily ways are what it takes to have you here with us, then I'm all for it. Well, come here, will you? It's been forever.
Je me demande combien de temps s'est passé. Et là maintenant, moi je veux un DLC qui se passe en Avernus.
Feel a little more substantial than before. Less camping and scrounging off the land, I take it.
Ok, oui, j'ai passé assez de nuits à la belle étoile pour me durer toute une vie, mon dieu. Attends, je vous ai rempli en direct, vous arrivez à accueillir... J'imagine que vous vivez moins de ce que vous arrivez à accueillir dans les bois, non? Fini bien à l'extérieur. Vous voulez dire que je suis gros, c'est ça, je prends ça comme un compliment, vous avez l'air en forme vous aussi.
I suppose I do, don't I? I'm glad you seem well. Truly.
Ah, évitons de trop verser dans le sens, mais dites-moi ce que vous devenez.
Wandering, mostly. The adventuring life is almost a tonic when you're not constantly threatened by brain monsters and cultists. I can finally see the world beyond the cloister.
Allez, dites-moi tout. Où êtes-vous allé? Qu'avez-vous fait?
One of my first stops was the House of the Moon in Waterdeep. It's the largest temple of Seluna in existence. It seemed like the perfect spot to reflect on my parents, on where they came from. And where I came from too, I suppose. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Me, of all people, in the lair of the Moon Witch herself. Gods, your truest act of heroism was putting up with all that char and drivel I was spouting for so long.
Vos parents seraient fiers de vous.
Oh, I know they are. I can still sense them, I think. And one day we'll be reunited.
Que comptez-vous faire maintenant?
I don't know. Which is just the way I like it just now. Perhaps I'll just stick a pin in a map and see what I find, or head to the docks in the morning and scrounge a berth to find somewhere new. I'd like to see the islands, maybe, or head south to Arm. I heard there's an enclave of werecats that hunt the followers of dark gods by moonlight. I'd love to see if there's any truth to that. But enough about me. What have you been up to?
Ah oui, on répond même pas, on se casse.
Don't be a stranger.
C'est magnifique, elle nous pose des questions, qu'est-ce qu'on devient, on lui dit même pas, quoi. Et mon chien? Ah, il a l'artefact!
Strange in your old friend's mouth. What is it?
Gratouille, viens ici, mon beau. Oh, il est mignon, mon chien.
A familiar invitation. He wants you to throw the object he's dropped. But it isn't a ball. It's the astral prism.
Je suis heureux que Flitrice ait pensé à inviter mon compagnon préféré.
Scratch barks merrily in something like agreement.
Où est-ce que tu as trouvé ça, mon grand?
He whines. Let's talk. More throw.
Je peux même pas lui jeter. Attends, si. Lancer. Va chercher. Oh, il est mignon, mon chien. Un volo.
Ah, it's the star of the show. Our humble protagonist who forsook Baal to save the city. Our skeletal friend will be very pleased to see I found my way here, despite my invitation getting lost in the post.
Malheureusement, pas assez perdu. Vous venez chercher une déclaration à citer dans mon prochain livre? Dans votre prochain livre?
Oh, I wouldn't bother you with such things during a party. And anyway, I've gotten quite good at replicating your signature, so you needn't even bother with the release form. You might help me with the title, though. I'm considering The Hero and Me. What do you think?
Le héros et moi-même. Le héros et moi, non?
I, me, it's all Volo as far as I'm concerned. Perhaps, once the manuscript is finished, you'd even be willing to write a foreword? Or better yet, I'll write a draft and you could just sign your name. Better still, I'll sign it for you. Hmm? Ah, your success really has been wonderful for my reputation. But you mustn't let me hog your attention all night, my friend. You've many friends to chat to, and I'd love to listen in.
Quel enfer, je te jure. Allez, fous-moi le camp. Qu'est-ce qu'on a là? Gale!
Well, well. Look what the Tressim dragged in. Professor Gale Decarius of Blackstaff Academy. Educator of the esteemed School of Illusion. A pleasure to remake your acquaintance.
Vous n'êtes pas désintégré au bout du compte, je le prends dans vos bras. Allez. Il y a un chat volant. Je rêve où il vient de respirer. Il vient de me renifler.
Well, that was quite lovely. I'm glad you're as pleased to see me as I am you. I have to say, I'm quite grateful to just be Gale for the evening. I fear my students find me somewhat intimidating due to my, explosive former reputation. I seem to put the fear of the gods into them.
Tant mieux,
Or
on
the
est
fear of
respectant.
Mystra, to be more specific. I surrendered the crown of Carsus to her, as I told you I would. And in return, she cured me of the orb at last. Even now, I struggle to put the feelings into words. It was like exhaling for the first time after holding my breath for so very long. Of course, I haven't clarified with my students that the orb is no longer a threat. The legend of my explosive capabilities is an excellent means of controlling a classroom. Too good, if anything. I spend most of my time trying to convince them how much fun the study of magic can be. But it'd be easier to crack a smile on an intellect devourer than some of my pupils.
Ça a l'air terriblement enquiquinant, vous ne préférez pas repartir à l'aventure, vous ne preniez vraiment pas très au sérieux. Un sujet d'étude comme les autres, il est dangereux. Ça a l'air terriblement enquiquinant, vous ne préfériez pas repartir à l'aventure?
I confess, sometimes while marking a student's 5th attempt at explaining the principles of illusory materialization, the thought occurs to me. In fact, I've actually been considering writing down the story of our adventures. The true tale of our flawed but ultimately endearing troupe, and the trials and tribulations we overcame. I can hardly leave it to the likes of Volo to give a true account of our adventures. And no one would believe him if he did.
Odious man truly frizzles my whiskers. Long-haired miniature dragon, he calls me. Tressym is much less of a mouthful.
And what of you? What are you making of this newfound lease of life?
J'étais en train de me
we
dire,
earned?
non, c'est pas le même chat qu'on avait croisé sur le toit, là. Le même trésime, pardon. Alors je continue à suivre la retrace par mon serment en aidant ceux que j'ai juré protéger en accord avec ma doctrine.
From you, I'd expect nothing less. I've told my students plenty of tales about our escapades. You're something of a hero to them, you know? I'll be delighted to introduce you to my current cohort as a guest lecturer, perhaps. I'm sure they'd have plenty of questions for you.
Avec plaisir, la discipline que m'impose mon serment leur évitera peut-être les chemins peu louables sur lesquels peuvent s'engager ceux d'entre vous qui manquent de principes.
Well, I for one can't wait. And I say with some confidence, neither can they. Of course, you'll be most welcome to stay with me in my tower. My apologies, Tara. That would be our tower. It will give us plenty of time to catch up on your adventures. I'm very curious to know what you've been up to these past months.
Ça fait 6 mois,
But I
d'accord.
suspect the telling of that tale would keep you tied to me all evening. So, in the spirit of selflessness, I encourage you to mix and mingle for now. With time enough to come.
Ok, et le chat, on peut lui parler? Le trésime?
Right. You. Hello.
Tu es bien l'ami de Gail, non? Tara, c'est ça? C'est un plaisir de te revoir. Revoir? Attends, mais c'est elle qu'on a croisée sur le toit, du coup?
Yes, I'm certain it is. As for you, well, I've heard congratulations are in order. You helped Mr. Dicarios save Baldur's Gate from the Absolute, isn't that right?
En fait, c'est Gail qui m'a aidé, pas l'inverse. Alors, si c'est ce qu'il t'a dit, loin de moi l'idée de le contraire.
Well done. Despite my old friend's genius, he'd have blown himself up long ago if not for the help of friends like you and I. You ought to come visit myself and Gale when you're able, if you can extract yourself from what I'm sure are very important responsibilities.
J'aimerais beaucoup. Merci pour l'invitation.
We'll send word by pigeon when we've need of you. I used to have a taste for them, but a great many things have changed in recent months. Ta-ta, darling.
Ah, quand je referai ma partie, je mènerai Gail pour aller voir le chat. Je me serais jamais douté que ça c'était son chat.
Past made present.
Ah, j'allais dire.
I'm glad for it.
La voix de Baldur. Oh, le journal. La guilde remet en construction un conflit pour accroître sa puissance. Plus d'éthique dans les égouts. La crise de l'absolu est terminée, déclare le point inflammé. Démission du rédacteur en chef de la voix de Baldur. Ses prétendus liens avec le régime de Gortash étaient pourtant infondés. Oh. Les marchandises de la part du diable toujours introuvables. Encore un coup de marché noir. Raphaël, le conteur de la caresse de Charès, serait mort. l'avant-poste Cellunite, décimé par un assaillant inconnu, désormais connu sous le nom de Dame Héline, l'épée de Cellunée. Ah. Attends, quoi? L'avant-poste Cellunite, décimé par un assaillant... L'avant-poste Cellunite décimé par un assaillant inconnu, désormais sous la protection de Dame Héline. D'accord. Le banquier en chef de la maison des comptes licencié. Oula. Eh bah dis donc. Intéressant. Laetzel.
My friend, the Hellswalker. For 2 months I trained the Knights of the Comet. For 2 more I skewered Kithraki bellies. And for 2 more yet, I traveled through Limbo. But to see your face, it brings me even more pleasure than taking a Royal Inquisitor's head.
Limbo, she'd said. A plane of chaos where you might drink fire like water, where you might breathe ice instead of air, and the home of the mystical Githzerai. Once the Githzerai were one of the Githyanki, until bloody civil war severed them.
Les Githzerai, c'est pas la même chose que les Githyanki. Oui, j'en avais entendu parler. Ils ont la même tronche, mais je crois qu'ils sont plus gris, un truc dans le genre. Il doit y avoir quelques autres différences. Vous avez l'air un peu moins solide que j'ai, on dirait que votre rébellion pour renverser la qui se présente bien. Je pensais que la ligne serait morte à l'heure qu'il est. Pourquoi est-ce si long? Vous êtes dans les limbes, cela signifie-t-il que vous chercherez à conclure une alliance avec les Githzerai?
I do. I approach the gates of Shraktalor even now.
Shraktalor. How well you know the name. The capital city of the Githzerai, and the home of their immortal god king, Zerith Menyar Agith.
Our Gish sent word of the rebellion to Minyaragith through the cosmos. He's agreed to parley. It's fallen to me to secure an alliance.
Mission diplomatique, la grande guerrière, ouais. Vous étiez le meilleur choix possible pour cette mission, car vous êtes aussi doué pour manier l'art oratoire que l'épée. Ça, c'est pas tout à fait vrai, mais bon, l'ennemi de mon ennemi est mon ami, à ce qu'on dit.
Sometimes. But I don't need the Githzerai to fight for us. Just with us. Minyaragith is an ascetic. He reached out in good faith. This is his way. It is in this spirit that I must meet him. He is also a near deity. Should the Githzerai join us, we could topple the City of Death in a red dragon's blink. Should they refuse, I carry on. Gravity pulls me in but one direction. I am the comet. I will not rest until I burn Vlaakith's bones to ash and smash her phylactery to pieces. My people will be free. But you've heard that refrain before. Zealous, bossy, insistent. All part and parcel of my undeniable charm.
Quand vous reverrai-je?
Soon. When the comet has risen. When the Lich Queen has crumbled to dust. I miss this place. More to the point, I missed you. I'll be back one day. The Overgod himself couldn't keep me away.
Qu'est-il advenu de l'œuf, Laetzel? A-t-il éclos?
So it has. And a fine man the hatchling will be. I call him Zan. Freedom. He is with the mages of Zamvardim. I trust his care to no one else. Zan's destiny will be his own to follow. Warrior, poet, explorer, scholar. His way will be the way of the comet. No chains to bind us, no lies to bury us. Liberty will be the rallying cry that unites our empire.
Bon, bah ça se profile mieux que j'aurais cru.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more.
Laissez-moi deviner, comme la nature l'a décidé?
just as I hoped they would, more like. The Oak Father has been kind to me this past while, yet I cannot forget the bond we all forged together. It is one that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day.
Vous avez l'air d'avoir besoin d'un gros câlin.
I always do. Should I ever decline, assume a doppelganger has taken my place.
Ne fais pas cette blague. Cette blague, c'est encore trop tôt. Quand je pense qu'il a été absent pratiquement tout l'acte 3.
That was more than worth the wait.
Plutôt 2 fois qu'une.
That was more than worth the wait? Oh, I suppose you didn't mean that literally. Now, we have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing.
Vous d'abord, Alcine. Je veux tout savoir sur votre nouvelle vie et des gens que vous avez aidés.
In that case, very well. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together.
Est-ce là l'équilibre que vous recherchiez?
In a manner of speaking, yes. Though it is a more complex, evolving beast than I could ever have anticipated. True balance is no simple, fixed thing. I see that now. We welcome folk from all walks of life. Anyone who wishes for a new start. Naturally, it can be chaotic at times, but it is a thrilling sort of chaos. It thrives in ways I could never have dreamed of.
Je dois absolument voir cet endroit de mes propres yeux.
You are welcome whenever you like, and for however long you please. Now, please, tell me all, and spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see, my charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake.
J'imagine que quelques-unes de vos histoires, je devrais attendre que les enfants soient plus grands. Très bien, voyons ce que j'ai pour vous.
I am all ears. Though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image.
La vérité, peut-être l'enjolivé. La Vernus c'est un endroit particulièrement intéressant, mais au moins j'ai Carlac à mes côtés. Chaque fois qu'elle sourit, c'est comme si une nuage s'écartait. Une enquête policière où, au bout du compte, le protagoniste, un membre du point infamé, découvre que c'est lui qui a commis tous les meurtres sans en avoir conscience. Lui raconter certains de vos récents exploits sans omettre le moindre détail. Racontez à Alcide tout ce qui vous est arrivé au cours des 6 derniers mois.
You have kept yourself busy. I expected no less, in truth. I shall be able to keep the children enthralled for a few more nights yet, thanks to you. And should you wish to retell of your exploits in person, well, I shall not object to a night off. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else.
Parlez-moi de Daniel et Oliver. Les voyez-vous souvent?
Quite often. They come and go as they please, but with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods, as far as I'm concerned.
Vous appréciez toujours de vous balader sous forme d'ours, j'imagine?
I spend half my days in ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago. I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be.
Puis-je avoir un câlin? Et le bosquet? Êtes-vous toujours en contact?
On occasion, but I prefer not to interfere. Francesca of the High Forest is Archdruid now, and by all accounts, she has proven to be a steady and wise influence. Even Korga may yet find true balance, thanks to her influence.
Je l'imagine. Vous semblez avoir bien plus réussi à vous poser que je ne l'imaginais. Moi qui croyais que ce n'était pas dans votre nature.
As did I, but somehow I feel like I no longer need to roam. That I have found something worthy laying roots for. Amazing what can be discovered about oneself, even at a ripe old age.
Puis-je avoir un câlin?
I was just thinking the very same.
Je te jure.
If only we could stay like that forever.
Si on pouvait, mon pauvre, c'est sûr. Allez.
Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this.
Qu'est-ce qu'il m'a fait?
Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company.
Il n'y a aucun effet, vous êtes un grand sentimental, vous savez, ça pourrait peut-être valoir quelques pièces 7 à condition de trouver un marchand. C'est merveilleux, merci.
Just a token to remember me by. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on. Enjoy the festivities. We can speak again later.
J'ai un petit canard. Je sais pas quoi en faire, mais je l'ai.